Welcome back to Work, Wisdom, and Wonder. I have been out for a while. Obviously, I look now like essentially a degenerate, and that's just the way it is. So I'm gonna have to pop out here in just a second. So let me get back to you. Come along for the ride for Can I Learn Hebrew in 14 Weeks? Why 14 weeks, you ask? Why that specific number? Well, it's because from the date of my departure from the US Air Force at the end of June until the end of September when I fly out to Cambridge to begin my master's and PhD in theology is 14 weeks. Well, 14 weeks and 1 day. So I actually got started a little bit late, obviously, on this video series. Tomorrow will be the third week that I'm meeting with my sister's pastor, who is my pastor right now while I'm here in Vegas. And he is teaching me Hebrew. And I am learning on my own for the most part throughout the week, and then just bringing all my questions to him. And it's kind of awesome. So what are we doing now? What are we doing today? Well, it's the end of the third week. I'm going to explain a little bit about what I've been doing the past 3 weeks. But we're going to go to a coffee shop called Grouchy John's, which is awesome. And at Grouchy John's, we are going to just get something to drink. They have an awesome latte that has amaretto and chocolate, and I love amaretto. And yeah, we're gonna sit down and I'm actually gonna do some review of what I did in the third week, and then I'm going to dive in. A little bit of background on what happened in the first 3 weeks of my 14-week attempt to learn biblical Hebrew, specifically biblical Hebrew. I should have made that clear, because I want to be able to read the biblical text in its original Hebrew, and that's a longer conversation for why that is. But what essentially how this started is I started with the alphabet and the vowels, which, spoiler alert, I cheated a little bit because I had done the vowels and the consonants and all the alphabet stuff a few years ago when I was teaching at the Air Force Academy. So that was more of a refresher, so I was able to kind of dive in relatively quickly. But then dove into doing like modifications to nouns, as well as adjectives, as well as doing like gender endings, number of endings, so like singular versus plural versus they have what's called a dual in Hebrew. So it's a specific form of a noun that indicates that there are exactly two of a thing. And that's actually just kind of cool. That's not something we have in English. And then on top of that, we also had just learning adjective and noun, or adjectives and how they work. So attributive and predicate adjectives. And then getting into pronominals. Yeah, it's a bunch of just fancy words. So basically what I'm doing is I'm figuring out how nouns are constructed, how they reference, how prepositions are occurring, so to, from, with, those kinds of things, and how they're constructed in each of the nouns and adjectives. So haven't gotten into verbs at all yet, and though I'm starting to pick up some of the modifications that occur with verbs, some of the conjugations, just because I'm being exposed to the text continually. I'm using a book that I'll show you. It's in my bag, and it comes with a workbook, and it's actually been pretty good. So there are a total of 33 chapters. Like I said, I have 14 weeks. That means I need to average like more than 2 chapters a week. So if I'm shooting for 3 chapters a week, we'll see if that actually happens or if I'm forced to slow down in order to like really understand what's going on. Almost there, 2 minutes out to Grouchy John's. And we're going to dive into creating some additional flashcards. Alright, there it is. There's Grouchy John's. Grouchy John. It's kind of a funky name for a coffee shop. I don't know the whole history of it, though I'm sure I could ask my my family who actually lives here, and they would be able to let me know. Alright. Alright, come with me. We're going to go into Grouchy John's. Let's go. Grab my bag here, all my nonsense stuff. Got too much going on. All right. Oh yeah, Grouchy John's. Right there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and order it, get set down, and yeah, we'll go from there. Cool. All right, waiting on my coffee, and then I'm gonna make some flashcards for the next set of vocab for chapters 9 and 10. Let's go. This coffee's called the OG. Let's go. Okay, quick note. So I'm going through these cards, and they've got lines on them. And the way that I'm setting it up is that you have 3 or 4, primarily 4, vocab per card, so that you can start to associate vocab words next to each other, so that they're easier to remember. This was a tip by my teacher. So, stack of cards, 38 here, anywhere from 5 to 2 on each card, so between 100 and 150 vocab words here, and we're gonna go through them. All right, I'm done for now. I think I put in like 4 hours per day. I think that's enough for right now. I'll do some more probably before bed, and then yeah, we'll see. Anyway, this place is dope. All right, it's the last day of week 3, and I am gonna go hit another coffee shop. This time, I think Coffee Religion. Not that coffee is my religion, because that would be ridiculous. No, we're going to Coffee Religion. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna do my review for the day, because I meet with my tutor today. Pastor Brian Hodge, shout out to him for being willing to help me learn the biblical languages. In this case, Hebrew. But I wanted to kind of touch on something while I'm driving here, because a bunch of people are like, why Hebrew? Why not Greek? Why not, Aramaic? Why not these other things? And to which I basically say, there's already too much going on in our society and in Christian circles, I would say, that is heavily influenced by the Greeks. And I don't mean that that's a problem and that you shouldn't be reading the Greek New Testament. You should. The Greek New Testament is awesome. My point is that we are too heavily influenced by Greek philosophy. And while Greek philosophy has its, positives and negatives, it also has become an obsession among Christian circles, and it honestly has been for centuries. While I think the early church fathers did a good job of kind of redeeming some of the Greek philosophy, a lot of it really too heavily influenced the way the Western world constructed its concepts of Christianity. And some of the outflows of that are that we, have a wrong understanding of family. We don't have a communal understanding anymore. It's like hyper-individuated. We think that ideas exist separate from their contexts. This is perhaps the most insidious of this idea that we can talk about goodness as something that exists apart from God, or that we could talk about beauty as something that exists apart from God, or truth as something that exists separate from and apart from God. Well, this is simply not the case. So the Transcendentals, which I love and I'm talking about and planning to study during my time at Cambridge, are fundamentally misappropriated. They're misaligned because they are decontextualized. And this is what I think going back to the Hebrew will help us do. It'll help us recontextualize these abstracted ideals into the contexts in which they are most fitting. And this is where we'll actually have ethical breakthroughs, and we'll be able to move forward in right action and right living when we stop talking about beauty, truth, and goodness as abstractions and start talking about them in a system and in a structure that is contextualized to the world that God has made. And that's why I want to go to the Hebrew and not to the Greek. So it's not that I know that I'm going to get something more out of the Hebrew than I'm going to get out of the Greek. I don't know. I won't know until I've gone through, honestly, both of them at some point. I just have a sense, I have an intuition that in order to do the work that I'm wanting to do, especially when I get to the PhD in the UK, I really need the Hebrew to be able to make the kinds of arguments and to build the kind of story that I'm trying to tell about what is a theology of beauty and what is a theology of storytelling. I'm gonna go do some more study, and hopefully this coffee place is good. All right, here at Coffee Religion, which is kind of a cute place. You can't even really see it. It's across the street, I swear. But yeah, I'm here. Translation exercise. This is from chapter 7. This is Genesis 38, 1 through 30. Just gonna read like a little section of this, and then I gotta dive in. All right, hair is a little crazy, but I'm done for the week. I'm going to be traveling this weekend, and I'm going to be going to Realm Makers, which is a fantasy and science fiction writers conference for Christians. It should be actually pretty awesome. That's in Michigan. I'm gonna keep studying those. So I've got chapter 10, 11, and 12. I'll be getting into verbs, so numbers, verbs, and we'll go from there. So next week should be a little bit more in depth. This week was just a kind of a rush job, but thanks for watching and hope you're all well. Bye. God bless.